Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. We'll give it a few minutes, just let people trickle in.
Perfect.
So if you're just joining, it's quiet because we're just waiting for people to trickle in. So we'll get started in a couple minutes. All right, I think it's good to get started. If people come in late, that's okay. So we have a small group today, but thank you for coming. I'll introduce myself briefly first. Born and raised in the area. My name's Scott Sepkowicz. I'm an agent with Venture Philly, the Venture Philly team here at KW. I am now in the middle of my third year here. And on the slide, I just have a couple of some background info about myself. And really the point of this is just to show you guys that I didn't have any real estate background coming into the business, like whatsoever. You could see 2014, I was doing music. To specify, I was performing around the city, giving guitar lessons as well for about 4 or 5 years. So nothing related to real estate. I didn't know anything. Kind of stumbled upon it in 2018. Friend of a friend was telling me about the career. It piqued my interest, and here I am. And the point is that you don't need to have family connections or be super knowledgeable prior to going into the business to be relatively successful. My first year, I closed 11 transactions. I hit my cap. Did a little under 4 million in volume. And now I am coaching new agents that join my team. I mentor about 7. I think I've had 7 or 8 new agents. So that's me. So there's a couple things. And by the way, if you guys have any questions, feel free. I know it's kind of weird because we're not in person, but feel free to you can call out, you can type stuff in the chat. I'll see it. So it doesn't have to just be me lecturing. So there's 2 things when you start your career that I think are the most important. Number 1 is education, and number 2 is establishing yourself to your sphere as a real estate agent, letting them know what you do. So on that first point, education, number 1 for sure in the beginning. You got to plant the right seeds in the beginning so that you have the long-term success that you're looking for. Don't be afraid to screw up. A lot of people, if you ask anyone, everyone has their own story, I'm sure. Veteran agents for sure, of some time that they really screwed up, and probably multiple times. Don't be discouraged if it happens. It's going to. There's so much to learn, and there's just every transaction is different. There's always something that could go wrong, unfortunately. So there's always going to be learning, growing pains. Don't be discouraged. Long story short, it happens to everybody. I'll tell you what happened to me. My first big like screw up was it was about 11 and a half months in. I almost went a full year without screwing up. But what happened was, and this is, I'm telling you guys this so you don't repeat my mistakes, is when you have a buyer, someone buying a property, and you have an inspection on that property, if they're getting a mortgage, if they're financing, the lender should never see the inspection report or know about any repairs that are being done or that are needed, because what happens is the lender pretty much automatically requires that those things get repaired, which is not always realistic. So what happened to me was I had someone buying a house, and there were probably like 30 to 40 items on the inspection report, which is like kind of normal. It's a little bit on the high side, but usually, you have 20-ish, 20 to 30-ish on an older home. Part of that inspection was a termite inspection, which is separate from the standard inspection. The lender asked to see the termite inspection, which for that they do ask sometimes just to make sure there's no termites. And in the inspection report, the termite inspection was included on the same PDF document with the rest of the inspection in this case, because the inspector did the standard and the termite. It was the same person. So out of kind of laziness and convenience, I sent the entire report to the lender, and the lender replied back and was basically like, I wish you didn't send me this, because now we had to require that all 40 of these items have to be repaired. So it kind of screwed up the loan, because the seller's not going to agree to fix 40 different things, especially like so much of it is minor stuff. Usually on the inspection reports, you're focusing on big ticket items if you choose to renegotiate with the seller, like if there's like leaks or mechanical issues. But it's going to ruin the deal if the seller like has to repair all this stuff. Like, it's so much to do, and there's no way you can do it in time. Fortunately, I was able to switch lenders and I had another lender come in and save the deal basically. So it ended up not hurting them, but it could have went really wrong. So lesson learned: do not let the lender ever know about any repairs that are needed or being done on based off an inspection report. Don't let them ever see the inspection report. Or if you sign an addendum that says the seller is going to repair certain things as part of your inspection negotiations, don't let the lender see that either. But yeah, anyway, the main idea is to pivot and learn from it. Now you guys know not to do that. I did not at the time. Make sure you dive in, meaning, don't like wait for the right time. A lot of people, I feel like, are very hesitant to start putting themselves out there. And to me, it's just fear and anxiety in disguise. It's in KW, the way we phrase it is, don't be a secret agent. Let people know what you do. And that kind of ties in with the second most important part of what I was saying is important for the first year, which is establishing yourself to your sphere as a real estate agent. You want people, when they think of real estate, to think of you, right? And then my last point here is ask a ton of questions. There's almost 500 agents, I think, at our brokerage. There's, everyone has something they can share. That's what I did. I'm kind of notorious for asking a lot of questions, but, I think it works out. There's so much to learn, and, don't feel like you have to shoulder all of it. Mentorship is huge. It sounds super cliche. Everybody says get a good mentor, but it's true. There's so much to learn in the industry and not a lot of guidance necessarily. So it's very important, in my opinion, to find someone that can help you. The easiest way is to join a team. There's probably 20-ish teams or so at our brokerage. And I think every quarter or so, they have an event where they call it Dolphin Tank. It's supposed to be like Shark Tank, but less intimidating. But it's like a job fair, but for teams, where you can meet different teams, see what they're about, see if there's a fit. You can also reach out to the team leader, Andrew. He's called team leader, meaning he's he's like the team leader for all the solo agents. So if you guys aren't already on a team, he's your current team leader. But you can talk to him and see if there's any teams looking for new agents, and any that he thinks would be a fit for what you're looking to do. I would definitely look into doing that. Um, there's a pro coaching program as well. I can't speak too much for it because it didn't exist when I started, but I do know that they've had some good results, and that's more for solo agents, I believe, where they'll kind of coach you through a certain amount of transactions so you know what you're doing. But definitely look into that stuff ASAP. That's probably the easiest way to learn. Um, and then take as many classes as possible. So including this one, there's other great classes. So there's the agreement of sale with Vicky Carey is probably the most important one. The agreement of sale is what you're going to sign to, get anything once you have anything under contract, any offers you make. So that's like your bread and butter. I would say in your free time, if you feel like what should I be doing right now? Is there something I could do to learn? I would study the agreement of sale. Like just read through it. It's a doozy. It's 14 pages, but just keep reading through it and study it until you really, really understand all the terms of it, because it's going to be huge when you're putting offers in and trying to compete with other people as well, because you'll learn all the little nuances and how to make your offer stand out. And it'll also make you more confident in talking to leads and your clients, because you'll understand the process a little bit more. A lot of it is all outlined right there on the agreement of sale. I have a couple book recommendations here. And actually, let me take a step back. Other classes that are good. There's a Mechanics of the Home class with Vicky Carey, and that teaches you about how the house works, especially if you have no idea, if you can't tell a water heater from a furnace, like I initially could not. It's probably a good class to take. There's an open house class. Open houses, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. That's going to be most of your bread and butters for finding new leads. So there's a good open house class with Bill Carricker. There's an investing class with Rodney Ross. There's a ton of great ones. When I first started, I felt like I was in college again. Just every day, I was doing multiple classes, just all day, learning as much as I could, taking as much as I could. Books. I have a couple of book recommendations here. So the first one here is the MREA book. I'm sure you guys have heard of it already. It's kind of like the Keller Williams Bible. It stands for Millionaire Real Estate Agent. It's by Gary Keller, who obviously Keller Williams, he is who our company is. He's the CEO. I think he's still the CEO, but he's the founder. It's basically all the models that people have to find success. A lot of good concepts in there, and it's very tangible stuff. So I would definitely read that if you haven't already. Second book here that I find really good is the book on rental property investing. It's a very straightforward title. It's by Brandon Turner, who's part of the Bigger Pockets forum. If you're not familiar, Bigger Pockets is probably the largest community online it's a forum for people into real estate investing. And this book is so good. It's, I didn't know anything about real estate investing, how that stuff worked, what people looked at, how people did it. And this really, it dumbs it down for you, but it's also, it's good for people who are true beginners as well as, experienced people with experience. I think it has a very broad audience, and it's a great book. It has great reviews online. You'll see too. It's probably the best thing I've read about, how the minds of investors work. And even if you don't plan on working with investors too much, it's good to know, because there's going to be elements of investing in every sale and purchase of real estate. So it's good to know that aspect of how things work as well.
Hey, Scott, what was the name of that book? I'm sorry.
That's the book on rental property investing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and you guys can see these slides, right?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay, cool. I was just hoping that it wasn't.
Sorry, it's really right there. Thank you.
No, it's okay. So that's the second book in the slide here. And then the third one is How to Win Friends and Influence People. It sounds like a super sleazy title, but it's written in 1916 or something, and that's just kind of the convention of how they sold books, I guess, or came up with titles. But it's not a sleazy book. The contents are great. It's kind of it's not real estate related. It's more self-development, and it's my favorite self-development book, and it's basically teaches you more self-awareness and how to be genuine in connecting with people. It's not like how to be a salesperson and phony. It's like being genuine but still like charismatic and connecting with people. So I recommend that to everybody. I just think it's a great book and it's easy to read. The chapters are like 2 pages. Yeah. Scripts. So scripts. My opinion on scripts are, I'm very anti sounding like a robot when you talk, and I think scripts don't help with that. Uh, because a lot of times people just have these phrases memorized, and people can tell when you're just memorizing a script. Like when someone's on the phone with us, like a telemarketer, we know, when they're saying stuff and just reading off a paper. So for me, the idea with scripts is all the scripts have an idea behind them that I think you should try to internalize um, and put into your own words. So the point of scripts is really just learning how to handle pushback from leads, like things, pushback is a sales term where it's just anything that's like anything related to a no, basically. There's like different excuses, different things. And the scripts will help you internalize the ideas on how to handle those objections from potential clients. So there's a lot of resources for this. It's kind of outside the scope of this class, but there's so many scripts on, you can just Google real estate agent scripts or YouTube, look on YouTube. There's a ton of videos, and just find ones that you like, and you'll start to internalize ideas of how to, handle these objections from clients. I think KW has some that they teach. They might have some on the on their like generic website somewhere where we go for like the website that agents can use. I haven't used it in a while, so I'm not sure. Not Command, but like my KW maybe. And then there's KW specific courses as well that will teach you scripts and mentors as well, as if you're like observing them, like you'll listen to what they say to people like on the phone and emails. And that's super helpful too, just to know like different ways to address different situations. So in addition to education, I think the most successful agents are passionate about what they do. I think a lot of the business I've gotten, and a lot of the reason people reach out to me so much, is because they could tell that I really love what I do and that I have fun with it. If you think about it, if you're looking to buy a house or something, and you have 2 people are agents, one person seems like they love it, like they're just having fun, they're posting stuff every day about cool stuff, and the other person's just going through the motions, just posting generic objective facts about listings, or like they just don't seem that into it. You're probably going to want to go with the person who is passionate about it, because I think that people work with people they like, I feel like. So you should, and hopefully you all will and do already love what you do, because I guess that's kind of the point, right? So I think learning, especially if you're going to be working in Philly, I think learning about Philly as much as you can is going to help, because in a way you're kind of selling the city, right? In different neighborhoods, it's good to be knowledgeable about neighborhood boundaries, different, restaurants, nightlife, different like points of interest around the city. Just try to learn as much as you can. I try to explore, like whenever I'm on showings and stuff, if I have some free time, I'll just walk around sometimes and just explore. I'll take pictures for content on social media. I always genuinely, I'm from here, born and raised, so I've genuinely loved Philly, and I loved exploring like new neighborhoods and new streets and stuff. So try to stay on top of the pulse of the city as well. There's different things you can subscribe to, like Planned Philly is one of them. I think it still exists. I feel like I haven't noticed an email from them in a while. But there's stuff like this where you can get updates on any new developments happening in the city. Maybe there's like new, condos being built, or like new restaurant, or like a new park or something. It's just good to know like what's going on, to be aware of that. And it sometimes gives you an excuse to reach out to people as well. And my last bullet point, like I was just saying, look like you're having fun. I think authenticity is super important in this, to make yourself stand out in this industry. There's a lot of agents in the city. A lot of them are really shitty agents, to be honest. And, our industry has a bad reputation. We're kind of one rung above used car salesmen. So I think the reason we have a reputation. There's just a lot of phoniness, and I think, and not to sound like Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye, but like I just think it's important to be yourself and to be authentic and genuine with people. I think that's how you connect, because that sets you apart from being just a salesperson, who's hungry for money. And I like to say, be hungry but not thirsty. So show that you want to work hard and get the deal, but don't be thirsty. Don't seem desperate for money and for business. Be willing to move at people's pace, and we can all, people can sniff out when someone's desperate. You don't ever want to appear like that. So I have a couple of do's and don'ts here. Kind of just ties in with what I've been saying. Don't be the stereotypical robotic salesperson. Like, you're just going to blend in. No one's, it's not going to work out. We all know when someone is being like this. Don't BS people about anything, especially like to make a sale. Like, obviously be honest. Don't pressure people either. Like, be willing to move at people's pace. Um, have a long-term view. Like, maybe you're not going to be able to get the sale right now, but maybe they're a year out. That's okay. Like, don't pressure them. Respect their timeline, basically, and they'll respect you for that. And don't be boring on social media. I know that's easier said than done. The do's, be honest. That should go hand in hand. That should be obvious. On social media, try to show interesting things and tell interesting stories. I usually post every day on social media, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but people really like seeing real estate. It's really good for it's really easy to get content that people are interested in seeing. There's a reason HGTV is super popular, and then people like seeing houses. It's just something that people like to see. I already talked about, be willing to move at other people's pace and be human. I think that's the most important thing, just be human. So my best lead sources when I started out, and emphasis on my, because this is really different for everybody, but I have a feeling these are going to be most of yours as well. There's two. One is going to be open houses, and then two is going to be social media. So with open houses, I'd say to start, try to do at least 2 per weekend in the beginning. I know it sounds like a lot, especially if you're not used to working on weekends. But they only take like a couple hours of your time. It doesn't really feel like work. It's kind of cool. You're meeting people and hopefully meeting new leads, and you're getting content that you can post on social media. It's kind of fun. So at least 2 per weekend, I'd say, to start, to really grow your database. Some people do 4. Some people will do 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, both days. The more the better. Real estate's a numbers game. The reason open houses are so good is because almost every single guest coming in is going to be looking to buy a house. Or if they're a newsy neighbor, that's a potential seller. And I think there's a statistic like 70% of people who don't already have an agent just work with the first one that they meet. And a lot of these open house people, you'll be the first one that they end up meeting. So open houses, definitely super important in the beginning. I would try to pick a place that when you're picking these open houses, which you always just ask the agent if they're interested in having you host one. It's a common thing. It's not a weird thing to ask. We actually have a Facebook group. I don't have a link to it, but you should have gotten it in your onboarding email. It's like KW open house opportunities or something. And you can post there saying you want to host one, or people will post listings that they want open houses on, and you can try to claim them. I find the sweet spot is like above 300K and maybe below 800-ish. I think that's a sweet spot of where you get the best leads. Under that, it gets a little, under 300K, it gets a little tougher. It just, it's in terms of having it be worth your time and effort. And then over 800K, those people tend to have agents already, I find. Now, it's not necessarily 100% true, because I did have one of the agents that I mentor got a $1.1 million lead at an open house that they went under contract like the next day on a different property. So that was a pretty nice lead from him there. So Um, and I would try to pick a place, pick a house that's ideally a lot of foot traffic, in like prime neighborhoods like Fishtown. Pretty much everywhere in Fishtown is a lot of foot traffic. Anywhere near Center City, Fairmount, um, wherever you have a lot of people walking around, there's like a lot of stuff to do. Is tends to be the best spots. Um, yeah, and before you host these open houses, what's good to do? This is a good tip: is to research the other places nearby that are for sale. Um, because what happens is, when someone comes into the open house and you're talking to them, you get some feedback, and maybe that house isn't for them. You start to learn what they're looking for, like why isn't it for them, like what are they looking for. And if you've researched the other competition, the other active listings in the area, you might know of one that they might want to see. So I'll give you an example. My very first deal that I did with someone that I didn't already know, it was my third deal overall. It was an open house lead. They came in, they liked the place that I was hosting, but we were chatting, and I asked them what they thought, and I always ask people to be on. I say, be honest with me. It's not my listing, and that usually gets people talking, because a lot of times, if you don't say something like that, they don't want to offend you, and they'll just be like, oh, it's nice, yeah, 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 and just kind of leave. So I try to get real feedback. So I asked these guys, like, what did you think? They really liked it, except they were really looking for a place with a fireplace. I think that's what it was. I knew that down the block there was another place very similar with a fireplace. So I told them, hey, I'm here till 3 p.m., but there's this place down the block, and I put it up on my phone. I showed them a picture of what it looked like. I was like, if you're still in the area when I'm done, I could show it to you like right away. And they kind of looked at each other and were like, yeah, I guess we don't have anything to do, so we can meet you there. So I scheduled a showing for right after my open house, and they saw it, and we put an offer in that day, and that was that. They ended up going under contract and closing on it. So I think it's a really good strategy to try to, you got to strike while the iron's hot. Like, try to have them do showings. Like, it's not I don't think it's too aggressive to ask, like, offer, like, I can show you this place when I'm done. Like, strike while the iron's hot. And, that's worked for quite a few of agents that I know as well. Now, what I try to do is, when someone comes in, you have a conversation with them. Usually the first thing when they come in, I'll say, I'll ask them to sign in right away. I usually just want name, email, phone. I don't ask too much other stuff. I don't say, do you have an agent, blah, blah, blah. I just want to make it as simple for them as possible. And then what I'll do is I'll ask them, how did you hear about the open house? Because to me, that's my way of finding out if they have an agent. Because if they do, usually what they say is, our agent sent us this list or something. Otherwise, if they don't, they'll say, I saw it on Zillow, I saw it on Redfin, we were just walking around, blah, blah, blah. And then you just want to ask smart questions to learn about their goals. And it takes practice. That's why you want to do a lot of open houses in the beginning, because you're going to get better with each one. Don't be discouraged in the beginning if you feel like an idiot. It's normal and it's fine, but you got to really just dive in and be an idiot sooner rather than later. Don't wait. But you want to find out stuff like, what neighborhood are they looking in? What's their price range? What are they looking for in the house itself, like beds, baths? Are they renting? Like, do they have a time? What's their timeline? Like, do they have to wait till their lease ends? So what I'll usually ask, a question I ask a lot is if they, are you guys from the area? Like, do you live in the area? If they say yes, you could say, cool. Is the idea to stay here? You're looking to purchase, like, and stay in the area? If they say no, the question is, are you looking to move? Is the idea to move into the area? And you kind of kick off conversation from there. You don't want to be too nosy. You don't want to seem too salesy with it. You kind of want to come with the talk with the attitude that you're trying to help them. You're trying to think of it's like you're trying to find out things because you might be able to help them in some way. Like, you might know of listings that work for them. And sometimes you have conversations that have nothing to do with real estate too, and that's fine. Like, you just make a connection. Connection is how you're going to get people to work with you and respond to you. So one way you can find out about budget. So the previous questions that I was discussing about, like, are you from the area? Are you looking to move into the area? That kind of helps me with the question of where are they looking to buy. Um, to get stuff like, what's your budget? It could sound a little nosy. So I think a way to do that is like, have you guys, you can ask, are you guys looking about this price range, meaning the open house's price, whatever it is, or you can ask, have you guys been pre-approved by a lender already? Now, a lot of times they don't know what that means, and maybe if you guys don't know, I'll tell you. Um, Before you put an offer in on a house, it's pretty much mandatory that you have a pre-approval with your offer. The pre-approval is from a lender saying like we will approve them, like hypothetically, if this offer goes through for this amount, this purchase price amount. And it shows that you're not just like talking out of your ass. Like you're not just saying, yeah, we'll put $1 million in without any proof. It's kind of like your proof that this can happen. So it's usually the best first step for in the house hunt, because one, it gives you your budget. Like it'll help you narrow down your search because you actually know like what you can afford. Usually they'll tell you what your monthly payment would be, how much cash you would need to close and stuff. So it really like gives you clarity on the financial end. And two, it gets the ammunition ready to actually make an offer. Like if you like a house, chances are other people do too, and you don't want to be waiting on getting your pre-approval while other people already have it and miss out because of that. Like you want it ready to go. And it's completely free. Like it's not something that they charge people for. So this is a good way to try to have an excuse to follow up with an open house lead as well. If they're not pre-approved, they don't know anything about that process, maybe you talk to them a bit about it. We have 2 lenders in the office that even if you don't know who they are our partners, and you can connect with them. You can connect the leads with those lenders like right away. So you can offer, if you don't already have a lender contact, you can offer to connect them with a lender that you work with, to kickstart that whole process. And that's one way you can follow up with people and help them out. Usually my follow-ups are going to be listings that I think could work for them. So once I have conversation with them, so what happens is they usually come in, we'll chat a little bit. I'll let them go through the house. Don't follow them. Just kind of wait at the entrance or whatever. When they come back, that's when you ask for feedback, and that's when you can continue the conversation. So based off what they liked and didn't like, you can, you say, do you have any feedback for the seller? You can either chat about other houses that might fit the bill for them, and see if they're free to see it. Or you can find out a little bit more about what they are looking for and what they're not looking for, and ask them. You can say like, I might have something in mind. I think I might know of a couple properties that might work. And you can say you might know of some off-market stuff too, because we do. You can always ask our Facebook group. You can send a message saying like, hey, does anyone have anything coming up or off-market that blah 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 blah. But anyway, you ask them like, is it okay if I come across something that might fit the bill? Is it okay if I have your email? Is it okay if I send it to you? Usually they say yes, and then I'll usually follow up right away. Like I said, strike while the iron's hot. If they leave and no one else is there, sometimes I'll start looking right away on my phone and try to send them stuff. It's very important to do it fast, because if you wait like next day or even longer, like you're probably not going to get as high a response rate. So that's what I usually do. I don't know if you guys know how to do this yet. It's outside the scope of this class, but there's a way to send people listings from Bright. It's called, you can save an auto email and then do something called concierge mode, where you can like approve or reject new listings. Approve meaning it gets sent to them. Reject means it doesn't get sent to them. Like if it's like some kind of piece of shit that you don't want to send them, you don't have to. Anyway, I'll send them stuff. I'll usually, if I'm there at the open house and I find a couple places that might work, I might just text it to them right away. Like, hey, like, hope this isn't too aggressive or too salesy, but I did see this place. I wanted to know. I don't know if you've seen it yet. Like, I could show it to you if you're interested. I have some time after the open house. or I'm also free like tomorrow evening. Like always give them times specifically to, don't leave it in their court. We'll talk about that in a couple slides. Um, but yeah, long story short, I know I'm rambling. I'm getting a little rambly now, but you want to ask questions, have a conversation, find out what they're looking for, and come from contribution. Like offer them something, connect them with a lender for pre-approval, send them listings that might fit the bill. Have some kind of ask at the end before they leave of, um, is it okay if I send you listings, or do you want me to connect you with a lender? Don't leave it open-ended. Like have some kind of prime them that you're going to follow up with them on something. Any questions so far? I felt like I was talking so much and I don't even know if I was staying on track. Was it everyone good? Am I putting people to sleep?
No, thank you for your time. This has been great. I'm super new. I just applied for my license actually.
Cool.
So this is very helpful.
Good.
And it's good to hear also, you said that you had no real estate background, and I am the same. I come from hospitality.
Great.
So it's so new. And actually, you also mentioned social media. I haven't got it out there yet. And I was wondering how you did it, because I feel like, a lot of people would think, oh my God, she's so new, maybe she doesn't know yet or whatever.
Yeah.
How did you do it?
It's a good question. And it kind of segues into the next section of the slide with social media. So what I would do is I'm against creating a separate page for your real estate business, and instead using your whatever personal social media you have currently. Instagram is, in my opinion, definitely the best one right now, like where I get the most people, like the most interactions and most people reaching out and engagement. But Instagram and Facebook really are the two that you're going to probably be using. But yeah, use your personal page because that's what your following in your sphere already is. Some people, if you create a separate page, you're just making like a sub category of your sphere, like a smaller group, because not everyone's going to follow the new page. And it's just like, whether you realize it or not, as a real estate agent, you are a small business owner now. Like you're an independent contractor. Like this is personal. Like you own a business, and you should be passionate about it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The goal is to stay top of mind, so you don't have to run your personal page like it's a business page all of a sudden. It's more like you're just posting day in the life things of being an agent, and the goal is, and this ties into the second point from the very beginning of the most important thing in your first year, which is establishing yourself as a realtor to your sphere. Social media is how you're going to be doing that. The goal is to stay top of mind so that people know you're in real estate and that you do real estate things. It's not to sell things to people. So you're not going to post like you're a business. Like, you can post, sure, if you have a new listing, of course you want to post about it, but you don't want to be too salesy about it. You can always post and say, DM me for details, message me for details or blah, blah, blah. But I try to post every day. It's just like, usually I just post stories, which if you're not familiar, it's just like you post things for 24 hours. It's up there for 24 hours and then they go away. It's like less formal of a post. It's not permanent, and you kind of it's more like day in the life stuff. Once in a while, I'll post permanent stuff as well, like closings or other things like that. Again, the goal is to stay top of mind, not to sell things to people. So mix it with your personal non-real estate things too. I think there's a social media class at KW, and I think the general consensus is try to have 3 personal posts to every 1 real estate related post. For me, I definitely don't maintain that. I don't do a great job. I have probably too much real estate on there, but it's been working out for me. Post everything you can and be authentic about it. Be yourself, be goofy, have fun. I think you want to post pretty much anything you can when you're actually doing business too is like the best post. So if you're on showings, definitely like take a picture of, maybe it's a nice street, maybe the house is really nice. You can take a picture of the house, or there's like a roof deck view. Definitely post if you're doing showings, definitely post if you're doing an open house. If you're putting an offer in, you can put a post about that. You want to show that you're doing business because people aren't going to work with someone that they think doesn't do any business. obviously if you have closings, inspections, if you have a settlement, like post about that too. A lot of client photos are great. Um, but
Great. Actually, this is very helpful because I was between like, should I open a new page? Should I not? I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. But now I for sure gonna keep mine. Because
yeah, I would
you have some type of following, whatever that is.
exactly, yeah, and it's I think that's the best way to think of it. Like you're a business owner, so it is personal.
Yeah. I have one more question.
Yeah.
Did you start it as a team or as a solo agent?
So I started with my team right away. I didn't even know what a team was when I first started, to be honest. I didn't know there was such thing as a team.
Yeah.
I kind of just accidentally stumbled upon a really good team.
Oh,
I was just looking to hang my license, and I put an email to the general inquiry email for KW, and my team leader at the time, Antonio, he was the owner before Garaf. He sold it to Garaf shortly after I joined, but he had his own team as well, and I interviewed with him basically, and he just asked me to join his team, and I thought that was just normal. And then I didn't really realize how it worked until after the fact. But
yeah, same. I had to Google it before. I was like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm doing a co-coach thing.
Oh, cool. Okay. Cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure, of course.
I actually just followed you on Instagram too.
Great. Yeah, everyone's always feel free to follow me. You can see the types of things I post. And I'll have my contact info at the end here, like my social media and stuff. So yeah, and just make sure, if you do go ahead and use your personal Instagram, personal page, just make sure there's nothing too ratchet on there, like that just makes you look like very unprofessional.
Yeah, totally.
I didn't have too many ratchet photos, so I was okay, but
yeah, I got to go through everything. I feel like on Facebook and everything.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
But yeah, so, and I find that on Instagram, especially if you're posting stories, I like to try to post stuff that like is engaging. So like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's like a feature where you can post like a poll for people to answer like this or the other. You can ask questions. You can have people submit like you can have people submit answers like to a question, blah, blah, blah. Anything where you get engagement, like people actually interacting, that's like the best. Now, everything doesn't have to be like that, but definitely mix those in as much as you can. I don't think there's anything else with social media that I want to discuss. Yeah, and just stay consistent with it. Eventually you're slowly going to be establishing yourself as a real estate agent to your sphere. And eventually, for me, like all of a sudden, like after my first year or so, I get pretty consistently get messages like out of the blue from people that I like never spoke to like since high school, and it'd just be, hey Scott, we're looking to buy a house, or my dad's looking to sell his house, blah blah blah. Like once you eventually you're gonna start to establish yourself in people's minds because they're used to seeing you post about real estate all the time. They're gonna be reaching out to you when they have things that come up, and it's nice. It's easy lead gen at that point. So those are my best lead sources. Yours, I have no idea. It could be different, but you got to try everything and find out. So some other ideas, networking in general, the more people you meet, the more it's a numbers game. The more people you meet, the better you're going to do. I think the most successful agents, in addition to just being a good agent, like they tend to know the most people. And there's some people who just know a lot, have a lot of connections, know a lot of people, and aren't really great agents either. So maybe it really is all about networking, but there's a lot of ways to do that. Some people do door knocking. Don't do that now because it's weird with COVID. Some people cold call. This is like, I'm going against the KW grain here, but I don't cold call at all. I kind of don't do that part of the model. I do pretty much all social media lead gen as well as open house stuff. It's all my own sphere. I don't do cold calling. But some people do, and some people are really successful with it, and they'll get for sale by owner listings or expired listings. Joining neighborhood association is a good idea. With neighborhood associations, I think a lot of people tend to be really in tune with the area, like who's living where, like who's selling their house. But it's just they tend to be really into their neighborhood. So you can join for, like, my neighborhood association was like $20 a year. It's not that much. And you just kind of it's like you have like an in with the neighborhood connection. You can join clubs, sports. There's online forums. I've gotten business from posting on Reddit before. So you never know. It's all a numbers game. The more conversations about real estate you have, the better you're probably going to do. And yeah, so
Hey Scott, I just had another quick question.
yeah,
Hello.
Hi.
I came like last month.
yeah, I remember you.
Super helpful. Again, if I wasn't going to be an agent, I would totally use you. I'm going on my first showing today, so here we are. I was
There
like,
you go.
I'm listening to you. It's a
Where
rental.
did, where did you get your lead from?
From my coach, from Dana.
Okay, good. Well, if you make sure you take pictures and get social media content there.
All right, we'll do. That's the goal. I was just curious on how you get your open house client. Like I'm sure you post on social media that you're having an open house, but like you don't do door knocking. Like how else do you get like neighbors to come?
So when you do an open house, usually you have it's like an official thing. So it'll be posted on the MLS saying that there's an open house to stay. It will be then cross-posted to Zillow and Redfin, like letting people know there's an open house to stay. Like it's like a very common thing. That's probably the most common way people hear about open houses. Like they'll see it on Zillow, honestly. And in addition to that, most people will have signs. So like it's usually there's a system already in place depending on who you're doing your open house for, like with whatever team it is or who it is. You might have to do your own for some people. That's why it helps to have a team, because when you host an open house, like with one of your team's listings, they'll do all that for you. But there'll be a sign right outside the door saying there's an open house, and people just come in because they see the sign. There'll be a sign on the corners of the block saying there's an open house this way, and then even like a block away, I think they use 5 signs typically, like to advertise foot traffic for open houses. So I don't door knock for open. I don't say, hey, there's an open house, come over. Like I just kind of show up and people come. So.
Gotcha. And what team are you on again?
Venture Philly.
Venture Philly. Okay.
Mhm.
Good to know. Yeah. Starting off, it's just kind of like I'm like, well, I clearly don't know enough to be on a team. So of course I'll do the productivity coaching, which it's been going great. I mean, Dana's awesome, but it's just good to hear like how everyone started their journey and what they learned.
Yeah. And it's not you don't necessarily have to know a lot to join a team. Like there's new agents that join our team that know nothing. So it's a lot of teams have new agents as well. So you don't necessarily have to be like Mike McCann to join a team.
Yeah, definitely not that. All right. Thank you.
Sure. And make sure you take pictures and post about your showing.
I will. You'll see it.
Good. And that kind of actually reminds me. So one way to get some easy social media content, if you don't already, like if you don't have anyone to do showings with, if you don't have any open houses set up, like what do? What you can do is so we use an app called Showing Time. You should download it if you haven't already, because that's what everyone uses to book showings. You'll link your license number and your NRDS number on there to prove that you're like an agent. And then you can actually book showings right away as an agent for just yourself. And there's like a drop down menu, and you can say it's an agent preview. So if you find like a really cool listing, like maybe it's like $1 million listing, really photogenic, like you can schedule a showing, just go yourself. And you can take pictures, take video, you get free social media content that way. And you don't have to say, hey, I'm doing an agent preview, I'm not actually doing business. Like you just say, hey, like check out this listing at blah, blah, blah. Like, look at this roof deck view. It's a good way and a lot of people do it successfully. And the general public is none the wiser. Like a lot of people think that you're listing it. So, just don't, there's ways you can kind of skirt the rules, I guess. It's nothing wrong with it. Just don't make sure you don't take pictures of, if there's anything personal in the house, like make sure you're not like, if like there's a really bad photo of their kids or something, like don't post that on the social media. But yeah, that's an easy way to get some content. And it also helps you to learn about the inventory a bit, because you can actually, you're getting an idea of what is for sale at what price, and like, becoming more of an expert. And 2, you can explore the neighborhood as well when you're doing this. So some people will maybe, set aside some time and, maybe a couple hours on a certain day and see maybe like 10 houses in Fishtown or something that are for sale. Like if you do that, if you're seeing 10 houses a day, if you're doing it for a week, if you do it for like 5 days a week, it's 50 houses that, you have content for and that you're learning about. So, it's not, think outside the box sometimes and you can get some content. My last point here is what I call the art of the follow-up. And I think the most important thing, what I keep saying this for everything probably, but this is also the most important thing, is to follow up. Be good at consistent at following up with your leads. Whatever CRM you're using, CRM meaning customer relationship management, usually it's like KW Command is like the default for us. Some people use other stuff. My team uses one called Follow Up Boss. Some people use Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't really matter what you use. But always set up follow-up tasks with someone, even if they're like quote unquote not interested, even if they're, just an awful lead. Maybe set up a follow-up in like a year, like checking on them. Who knows? It can't hurt, because otherwise if you don't reach out, it's already a no. So you gotta at least give yourself a chance to follow up again in the future. So what I'll usually do is, if I have someone that's like a quote unquote hot lead, like they're active, like looking to buy right now, maybe I met them at an open house, I'll follow up like, almost every day, maybe every other day, like play it by ear, like get a feel for how they seem. You don't want to be too aggressive if you think it would annoy them. But like I said, inaction is a no anyway. So it's better, in my opinion, it's better to err on the side of following up versus being afraid to. So what I'll usually do is I'll set these tasks up and I'll look every day. Who did I set up a task to follow up with today? I'll go through them and that's it. I try to follow up with something of substance, like something helpful, like maybe there's a new listing that is like exactly what they're looking for, and I'll send it to them in like a text or an email. Texting nowadays I think gets more responses than email. It might seem weird at first, but I haven't really gotten any negative responses from that. You can acknowledge it too. You can just be authentic, be like, hey, like sorry if it's weird, I'm texting you, but I just saw this listing, wanted to make sure you saw it. Maybe you just met them at the open house and you text them right after, and don't be afraid to call. I think texting, calling, and then emailing is like the order of response rate success. Calling, sometimes people don't answer, like they stop answering you, and then all of a sudden when you call them, they'll pick up. Like it's weird, like they think it's like serious or something. But so text. And what I'll usually, and this one more thing that this just reminded me of is if you do send people listings, there's a way you can send it automatically on Bright, which I talked about, but I find it's better there's a way to get the link to the listing or listings, multiple listings itself, that you can just copy and paste into like your own text or email. Because if you do it through the MLS, it looks kind of robotic, like it looks automatic. It's not like a personalized email. It's like, oh, like here is a new listing from Scott Sepkowicz, and it's like all like formatted like it's just a spam email. So there's a way to get the actual listing in a link, and it's like really annoyingly difficult to do because Bright MLS it feels like you're on a website from like 1997 still. But what you can do is when you find the listing you want to send, there's check boxes. You check the boxes, and at the bottom it'll say email. You click on email, but you're not going to email it. At the bottom of that page, it'll say preview, and you click on that preview. It'll pull up a link, a new page, and you can copy that URL and paste that wherever, like in a text or an email. And that's how you do that. But that's, to me, more preferable than the automated emails. I'll use the automated ones for people that aren't like super hot leads, like just to kind of have a little bit of like a drip campaign where they kind of just, are hearing from me every so often. But I did that successfully once. There was someone who wasn't responding to me at all. It was an open house lead. And there was one house that came across the market, and it was like, I knew it was like perfect for what they were looking for based on our conversation. And they hadn't responded in a couple of months. And they actually never said anything to me in a couple of months. And then what I did was I sent an email with a photo I took of that street by chance, because it's a really picturesque street. I said, hey, there's like a new listing, and I put the link to the listing. It looks exactly what you're looking for. Do you want to see it? Like, I could show it today, like after 5, blah blah blah. And I'm always be direct with when you ask to see stuff. Don't say let me know if you want to see it. I would say do you want to see it, and then give them a time you're free. Like, kind of be a little bit more assertive on that front. And if I send people listings, I won't say let me know if you want to see any. I say let me know which ones you want to see, and I'll set up tours. But anyway, I sent the picture I took of the street. I sent the listing. She responded to me like, this looks perfect. Let's see it. Long story short, we ended up winning a multiple offer situation. It was like a $650,000 sale that would not have happened if I didn't do that. So anything you can do to be human, which that is one of them, where you're writing a personal email, is going to get you a higher response rate. Come from contribution is my third bullet point here. That's just like, send them something of substance. Like I said, maybe it's a new listing. Maybe you put together a home buyer's guide. Maybe you learned about a new development in the city, in the area they're looking in, or maybe looking to sell their home. There's a script for everything, but also speak naturally. There's always some response you can give to any type of pushback. Even if, they call you a piece of shit, you're an asshole, don't call me again. You can always ask for a referral, right? You can always ask if they know anyone that's looking to buy or sell, to think of you, to let you know and refer them over. And make sure, that brings me to another point. I promise I'm almost out of points here. Make sure that you have to kind of educate your sphere on how the industry works as well, or else you're going to get burned a lot. And what I mean by that is, especially when you're posting on social media, a lot of people don't know, and I don't know if maybe some of you don't know this, when you're using a buyer agent, the buyer, it's free representation for the buyer. They don't pay your commission. Like, a lot of people don't know that, and so they're standoffish. Like, in some states it doesn't work that way, but in PA it does. So a lot of out-of-state people don't know either. You are paid by the seller. The seller pays the commission to their agent, and then the agent typically will split it 50-50 with the buyer agent. So free representation, make sure people know that. Another thing that you want to make sure people know is that you are a business owner. You're not just a salaried employee that gets free leads from Keller Williams. Like, people don't realize how it works. They don't know that the way that I phrase it to my sphere is that my business is 100% referral and word of mouth based. So, all my business is from people reaching out to me and giving me referrals and, putting their trust in me. I'm not getting leads from Keller Williams, and maybe you guys are from your team a little bit, but it's very minor. It's not the point. So make sure people know that, and make sure that's like kind of like a PSA you put out there. Remind people, like, please reach out if you're looking to buy or sell or invest. I appreciate everybody who's trusting me with their business. My business is 100% word of mouth and referral based. Just make sure you slowly educate people and make people aware of how that works. And don't forget to ask for referrals from both, even from cold leads that suck, and from clients too. Like, some people won't even think to refer people to you unless you ask. So make sure you let them know that as well. Be human. So in your follow-ups, I kind of talked about this already, so I'll go a little quicker on this part, but I'll try to do things that make it seem like I'm not a chat bot. So, like, I'll put lowercase letters. Sometimes I'll put emojis. I'll send multiple messages in a row. What I mean by that is, instead of like one long text, I might say, hey, like, there's a new listing on the street. It has like that fireplace you're looking for. And then maybe a couple of minutes later, I'll send another text to say, let me know if you want to see it. I'm free like tomorrow after 3. Like multiple messages in a row. I think that's less of a bot thing to do and more of a human thing to do. You can be goofy and fun when it's appropriate. Don't be afraid to be yourself, and be loose. Don't be too uptight when you're talking to people. Don't be scared. My second bullet point here is a stupid joke, but what I'm basically saying is keep it short and sweet. Don't write a whole novel. Like, people don't really have time for that. A lot of times they're just not going to even read it if they see that it's long, especially like if to them you're just a salesperson, just get to the point. Hey, there's a new listing here. Like, I'm free after 3. Do you want to see it? Like, I try to keep it 1 or 2 sentences ideally. I'll write a message and I'll prune it and keep it as short as I can, because that's how you're going to get the highest response rate for sure. You are going to get rejected, ghosted. You're going to get bitched out. You're going to get cursed out at some point in your career. There will be a lot of ignoring you. Maybe 1 out of 100 actually responds to you. That's not that out of the realm of, it's not that crazy. It's, in sales especially, a lot of people just aren't going to respond to you. But don't take it personally. The way that my mentor put it to me is that people are rejecting the opportunity, not you. It's their way of saying they're not ready now for whatever it is that you're presenting to them, So never take it personally. It's not you. They're rejecting the opportunity. But if you expect it and you know that this is just normal, you hopefully won't be discouraged when it happens. So that's all I got. So if you guys have any questions, I'd like to open this up now. I have my info here: email, phone, Instagram, if you want to follow me and see the types of things I post. I have my social security number if you want to steal my identity. I make that joke every single class, and I feel like when people are here for like a second time, they're like, "Oh, you made that joke already." But,
I love it.
Yes.
But yeah, does anybody have any questions? Anything I didn't touch on? Anything that you're maybe confused about? Like,
Hi, Scott. I have a question.
hi.
You mentioned that you're using the iPad for, I guess you're also using Google Form when it comes to the open house for the sign-in. Is iPad the only device that you recommend, or I'm just trying to...
I don't have an iPad. I don't use an iPad. I actually,
Oh, you didn't?
yeah, during COVID, so my team pays for a service where it's like a digital sign-in form that will automatically add it to our CRM once they sign in, so I don't have to manually do it. And I'll just ask, it's just name, email, phone. But before that, I was just using pen and paper, honestly, and just having people sign in. With COVID, like, you don't want people using the same pen, so
Exactly.
What's that?
Exactly. So I'm about to host an open house in 2 days, and I wonder what's the best form for people to sign in.
I would what I would do is I would just have a form. I would honestly just have a form on your phone and just ask them the information and put it in yourself. Just say you need to take. I would say you need to take down their. If they don't mind signing in before taking a look, we need to take your information just for contact tracing purposes or something. And it's not even that unreasonable, because even if there's no COVID, like, the seller should have a record of who's coming in their property. Like, these are strangers. So, if someone's giving you a hard time, they're probably not a great lead anyway. But what I do is I'll just say, okay, I just need some information, like your name, type it in, email, phone, and that's it. You can maybe just have your own little custom notepad, like, it doesn't have to be fancy.
So I see. So I just sanitize my phone and I hand my phone to them. So, okay.
I know. I wouldn't even do that. I would just, you type it in, like, ask them, and then you type it in, so they don't even have to touch your phone,
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Sure. I had a point, but I forget. Okay. Anything else?
Any other recommendations on open house? I'm like very nervous. I'm excited. I'm like thrilled with the opportunity, but I'm very nervous.
Yeah, it's normal to be
I've never
nervous.
done this before. I know that I will do a lot of research about the neighborhood and anything else that I should bring to the open house.
Yeah, I mean, it's normal to be nervous, so don't worry about that. But it's going to be less intense than you think. You're just going to have a couple of cordial conversations for the most part. No one's going to like grill you or anything. The fact that you're doing any research at all probably puts you ahead of a lot of other people, to be honest. And you'll make you sound knowledgeable. So just relax and just have conversations. Don't feel like you need to, don't feel like if you don't have a great conversation with one person that you screwed up. Like, there's not everybody's going to be a great lead. If you just get one lead from an open house, it's worth it. You might have 10 people come in and like maybe only one is good. That's okay. Just relax and just have some conversations, and you'll get better with practice. You'll get less nervous the more you do.
I see. I'm really, do you take notes when you, and this is weird, like I like to take notes so I can write down all the key information about the clients or potential clients. But is it authentic or is it practical when
So
you
what I
talk?
do is,
I was
that actually was the point that I couldn't remember, so I'm glad you said that. So as soon as someone I don't want to take notes in front of them, like I don't want to just be like, like on my phone. Like as soon as they leave, I'll try to write down every single thing I can remember, because like you think you won't forget, but you will at some point.
I will. Just give birth to a child. I forget everything.
Yeah, especially if you have some open houses are crazy. So when you're hosting open houses, another good thing to look for is if it's a new listing, because you're gonna have more traffic on there. A lot of new listings that are in like hot neighborhoods will have like 30 or more people coming in, and it's just impossible to keep track of everything. There's gonna be some people you literally can't even talk to. They're gonna be in and out, and it just sucks. But it's a good sign when you have that many people. And what I'll do is as soon as they leave, when I have a moment, I'll just try to write. If I was using pen and paper, I'll turn over their sheet and just write everything I can remember about our conversation. If it's on my phone, I'll do it on my phone instead. Like I definitely remember, I'll write down everything, like their dog's name, like anything I can remember. I'm writing down. So
thank you so much.
Sure. Good luck with your open house.
Thank you. Like everything in your class, like it's all super duper helpful.
I'm glad.
And
I'm glad.
Appreciate your time. Yeah, I was here last month too, and I think it's worth to.
Well, thank you very much.
Take class again, and like every time I take this class, I feel like I learned something new, and that's
very kind. You're making me blush.
We're gonna be like your monthly members for the whole year.
Yep, for sure. Good luck with your showing.
Oh, thank you. Good luck with your open house.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else? Last chance. Okay. Well, if you think of something, feel free you can reach out to me, Instagram, email, phone, whatever. But yeah, thank you guys for coming. I hope that you guys learned, took away some things from this, and I wish you guys all best of luck with your burgeoning careers.
Thank you, Scott, very much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you.